I live, I live in Denver, and I'm the champion tree coordinator for the Colorado Tree Coalition.
Thank you very much. Amanda, I have you next on my list.
All right. Hi, I'm Amanda Widener. I'm the horticulture specialist down here in Pueblo County. And so I get to do the master gardener coordination as well.
Excellent. Next, Ashley, do you want to hop on? Maybe. I don't know if you're talking, Ashley. I can't hear you. I see that you're not muted.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are. Yep,
Sorry.
you're good.
Hi, I'm Ashley Seeley. I'm a forester
Yes.
with Colorado State Forest Service in the Levita field office, so southeastern Colorado.
Good to see you this morning. Thank you for joining. Chelsea, I have you next.
Yeah, I'm doing some recon for Kansas Forest Service, so I'm just joining the call to see what I can learn and bring back to our forestry service.
Awesome. Thank you. Glad to have you. Eric Jess Scuda. There's two Erics on here.
Hi, I'm Eric Jaskuda. I'm the city forester out in Brighton, Colorado.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Eric Lovell, you're next.
Good morning, all. I'm the CSU Extension Agent in Morgan County, a horticulturist, and run the Master Gardener program from Sterling originally.
Awesome. Thank you. Jean Ray.
Hi, I'm a master gardener in Pueblo County and a tree hugger.
Thanks, Jean. Welcome. Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny Burkhalter. I'm the CSU University Landscape Architect, and I just joined in January.
Awesome. Okay. Jonathan Hayward.
Yes, I'm the arborist for Colorado College here in Colorado Springs.
Amazing. Okay. Madeline.
Hi, my name is Madeline. I'm the district manager at Morgan Conservation District. I know Valerie from having her come out to host a few workshops out in Fort Morgan in the past.
Yes. Thank you. Glad to have you here, Madeline. Sam.
Good
Wagner.
morning.
Sorry. There's a couple
That's
Sams.
fine. Good morning, Sam Wagner, with the City of Lone Tree, so code enforcement supervisor and city forester.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. And then Town of Sedgwick.
Hi, I'm also Sam. I'm the deputy town clerk here at the town of Sedgwick. And
I'm Dory Deavy, and I am the tree steward for Sedgwick, the town of Sedgwick. And we're joining today just to see what you're all about.
Thanks, Dory. Always happy to have you here. And last, I have Vivian. Maybe. I don't know if I can unmute Vivian myself. All right. Well, maybe Vivian stepped away for a second. I'm not sure who that is. All good. Well, welcome all of you. Thanks so much for tuning in this morning. Oh, I missed Gertie, but it looks like she might have. Did I already say your name, Gertie?
No, not yet.
All right, you're the last one.
I'm Gertie Grant. I live in Denver, and I do the Trees Across Colorado program for the Colorado Tree Coalition, and I'm really happy to hear that there's somebody here from Pueblo and somebody here from Sedgwick and somebody here from there are other places that are getting Trees Across Colorado this coming April 16th. So it's good to see you all, except I can't see a lot of you because you're not visible.
All right. Thank you, Gertie. I think I had a couple more people jump on. Maybe I see Angie Wade on here.
Yes.
Angie, I know you're just hopping on. Do you want to unmute and introduce yourself real quick? Maybe. I see two Angie Waits on here. I'll give her a second. Angie does community engagement with the city of Ray, Colorado.
All right. They're getting trees too.
They
Yay.
are. All right, cool. Well, I'm just going to hop into things here. If more people hop on, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Oh, there she is. Hi, Angie. Good morning.
Hi. Trying to get this all to work here.
That's all right.
My video's not working. I don't know.
No worries. Yeah, feel free, any of you, if you need to keep your camera off for any reason. Sometimes that helps with connectivity issues. Do what you need to do. That's totally fine. I will, let me see. I'm going to make sure I'm going to mute you all now who are unmuted because I'm about to start speaking here. Let's see. Alrighty, I think you're all muted. Excellent. There she is. Hi, Angie. I am going to now share my screen with you all. Again, thank you all for coming. We're really excited to get this group started here. If I can share my screen all right. Sweet. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can see the screen properly. Yes. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, so we're really happy to convene this group here, our first Eastern Plains Community Forestry Council of the year. This group kind of had some meetings on and off in previous years, led by Donna Davis, our previous Eastern Plains UCF coordinator with the state, but it's been in hiatus since her retirement. So I'm happy to bring it back to life. I'm going to speak a little bit today about the Tree City USA program. And then Neal will follow up and go over some of the Colorado Tree Coalition programs we have throughout the state. Alrighty, I'm gonna make sure I got all my screens looking good. I can kind of see your guys' faces, but if you have a question or anything, feel free to just unmute and interrupt or put up the little hand emoji or whatever you need to do. All right, let's get started here. Perfect. All right, so Tree City USA. Tree City is actually turning 50 years old this year, which is really great. This is a program of the Arbor Day Foundation. Arbor Day Foundation, ADF, is a global nonprofit that's dedicated to the planting and caring of trees in communities across the nation. Tree City USA is one of their flagship programs, turning 50 years old in 2026. So their first year was 1976. They had 42 communities that very first year. And this is a program in partnership with the U.S. Forest Service and the National Association of State Foresters. And most of the state forestry entities, such as Colorado State Forest Service, in each state is looped in to this program. We help manage it in each respective state. So in that first year, again, 42 communities were recognized for celebrating and prioritizing the trees where they lived. Colorado did not have any communities that very first year, but we did have one the second year. Just to go into a little more background here, by 1978, the Cooperative Forestry Assistance Act marked the first time that federal funds were committed to urban trees nationwide. And this Tree City program continued to grow over the next couple of decades after the 70s. In the 90s, they introduced their Growth Award, which is just kind of an extra recognition for communities that go above and beyond in their tree care and community engagement. We have many communities in Colorado that get Growth Awards every year. By the year 1993, the Tree City USA program had reached every state in the nation, which is really cool. Colorado's first Tree City USA was recognized in 1977. If you guys want to guess, you can throw it in the chat who you think it is, but I'm not going to tell you till the very end. But since then, since the 70s, this network of communities kind of across the nation and now across the world, as they instituted the Tree City of the World program in 2018. We have 3 in the state. But this has really turned into this large, widespread movement that recognizes the value of trees in our everyday lives. Okay, so again, Tree City USA, this is an annual recognition-based program. It's designed to raise awareness on the value of community trees. And this program is for cities and towns of all sizes, can be achieved with even limited resources. We have one tree city in Colorado that has fewer than 110 people. Again, you can guess who it is, but I'll let you know at the end. So, we have communities that plant 1 tree every year, and we have communities that plant thousands of trees every year. This program is really meant to be attainable for everyone and meant to connect all communities across Colorado and across the nation, regardless of, if you're urban or rural, how big you are, what kind of resources you have. So a little bit more about the program here. Tree City USA program has changed slightly over the years since its inception, but the core values here remain the same. This is a voluntary program. It's aiming to raise awareness of the value of trees, to set foundational standards for tree care and planting new trees. It's meant to celebrate community engagement and improvements, and to maintain this national network of communities through all development stages of your community or urban forestry tree programming. The Colorado State Forest Service is a really proud partner of the Arbor Day Foundation through this program. So each year, our small team of about 4 people at the state, we go through everyone's applications as they start to roll in the fall to ensure we're meeting Arbor Day Foundation standards. And we do actually read all of your applications. So this is a really fun kind of time of year for my team. We get to look and see what each of the communities has done that year. We look to see if you updated your ordinance. We're looking at how many trees you planted each year. We like to scroll through and look at all your Arbor Day celebration photos and whatnot. So just to let you know, yes, we do look through all of your applications, and that's really fun and exciting for us, actually, to keep tabs on everyone throughout the year. Okay, so why might a city join if you're not already a tree city? This program, again, is meant to set kind of a foundation for the future of your community and the trees that it depends on. The idea here is you're putting standards in place now that will ensure down the road your community will be set for success managing this vital resource. And also, it really supports a sense of pride in the community, a sense of community engagement. You're signaling to residents that their leaders actually care about their community and making it a greener, more vibrant place to work and live. And then, again, it also links you to this network of dozens of other communities in Colorado that are part of this program. And I have a nice little map here. So this is all of our communities currently in Colorado that are recognized. We have 95 right now that are a Tree City USA, including several military bases. Most people in Colorado either live in a tree city or next to a tree city, which I think is really great. We also have several tree campus, higher education and K-12 tree campuses recognized throughout the state. And we have our very first healthcare tree campus recognized this year. If you'd like to guess who that is, you can throw it in the chat. I'll tell you at the end. But so this is a growing program in every region of Colorado. Some of our oldest members, our oldest tree cities, are actually out in the plains, which is really amazing. We know that trees are particularly important to our plains communities because of the protection they afford in such harsh climate. I would really love to see the Eastern Plains tree cities totally take off and to see way more of these than we have in the West. Kind of a little competition we have here at the state to see who can have more in their area, where we currently don't have the most, but I think we could get there. Okay, so we're going to go over the program a little bit more in depth here. There's just 4 standards you need to be a Tree City USA. Many communities already meet these standards, whether or not they're being recognized for it. The very first here is delegating a responsible entity at your city or town who manages or has responsibility over these trees. This is usually a municipal department, or it can be a tree board. Many communities have just one of those things. Many have both. Often in smaller towns, especially, we see you'll have a community head, like your director of parks or something like that, who's your responsible entity, and then you have a tree board that functions as sort of an advisory capacity to that department head. So second ordinance is establishing a tree care ordinance. Sorry, second standard is to establish a tree care ordinance for your public trees, and we'll get into that a little bit more. The third standard is to maintain a minimum annual budget of $2 per capita for your forestry program. And I'll get into that a little bit more, what expenses or expenditures qualify towards that $2 per capita. And the very last standard you need to do is to proclaim and observe an Arbor Day celebration every year. This is a day usually in April where your community comes together for a tree planting event or something of that nature. However, Arbor Day celebrations can look different for each community, and they can technically be held any day of the calendar year. You do not have to do them in April, though that's when most people do them, because the national Arbor Day is, I always forget, it's like April 24th or something. So let's get into these a little bit more. I wanted to go over standard 2 a little bit further because this has gone through some updating in the last year. This is the current guidance Arbor Day Foundation has on their website and what you would have seen in the portal this year for your application. Basically, a tree care ordinance needs to include, needs to assign authority over and responsibility for the care of public trees, either through the establishment of a tree board or a department. It needs to provide clear guidance for planting, maintaining, and or removing trees from streets, parks, and other public spaces, and it needs to always be in effect. To document this, you usually just have to upload a copy of your ordinance or a link to your ordinance in the portal. And it's not always, communities don't always have one ordinance, one tree care ordinance. You might have different tree care clauses across several different ordinances, which is totally acceptable. You just have to provide documentation for all of those to show that you're meeting the standard. So again, this is what Arbor Day Foundation currently has on there, or they had on their website for this last round of recognitions. This is the proposed change that should go in effect this year. So this is what everyone will see in the portal this year. Kind of different, kind of not different, kind of still the same. This will only affect incoming communities or existing Tree City USAs that are updating their ordinances. So the language has changed here slightly. Essentially, your ordinance should, again, identify who has the responsibility for oversight of public tree care. It should direct and or advise communities on the establishment, conservation, protection, and or maintenance of urban and community trees, and it needs to address public trees. The only really change here I saw is they don't have that. In the last slide, they have one of the standards says must be in effect 24/7, and that is not on here anymore, though your standards are typically in effect 24/7. So the documentation, all of that remains the same. I don't foresee this really affecting any current Tree City USAs in the state. The idea was to make the standard a little more stringent for incoming communities, but at the end of the day, the wording, the language they chose to update seems kind of the same to me, honestly. So that's their update here. I don't anticipate this affecting anyone in Colorado all that much. So standard 3 is that $2 per capita that must be spent on forestry related programming. This is a document that can be found on the Arbor Day Foundation website. If you want to reference it again, I can also send it to you if anybody ever needs it. But it really shows you how many different expenditures can be qualified expenses as part of this $2 per capita. It can include items donated, like trees that were maybe donated, or volunteer hours. any costs associated with your Arbor Day celebration. It can include municipal staff salaries. Even if your municipal staff are not solely dedicated to forestry, if a percentage of their work deals with the care of trees, and you can add that to your qualified expenses as well. And you can see that it's listed in these different buckets of things that you do maybe internally as a municipality, things that you bought directly, educational expenses, items that you contracted out, or things other people did, so volunteer time and things like that. I think somebody put something in the chat. If you put something in the chat, you have a question, shout it out, because I can't see the chat with my screens right now.
Valerie, I assume there's
Oh, you're muted again, Neal. Hold on. There you go.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry. I assume there's a value per hour of every volunteer that they
Yes,
have.
and I can't remember what the hourly number is, to be honest, but they calculate it for you on the portal. You just type in your number of volunteer hours and they do the calculation.
Okay.
I could look that up, but I'm not sure what
That's
their, yeah, I'm not sure what it is right now.
Okay.
I think it probably updates every year. Yeah, good question. So yeah, these are the qualified expenses, and they have to be generally related to tree care, right? So they can be tree planting and initial care, tree maintenance, tree removals, money spent on management, utility line clearance, and of course, volunteer time. So I think sometimes small towns will find this standard a little daunting because they don't have a dedicated forestry budget. But when you consider all of the different expenses that can be included in that, this standard, typically municipalities meet it pretty easily. If you had to do any clearing of utility lines, or if a tree fell over and you had to get it removed, those kind of things, you're likely going to meet the standard pretty easily. And we're happy at the state to help you figure that out if you ever have any questions. Okay, next standard, of course, is that Arbor Day celebration. I wanted to call this out. There's a link down the bottom here for the Arbor Day website. They have so many great resources, specifically for celebrating Arbor Day. They have a lot of good planting guides on there that you can use for your celebration if you need to. If you go to this tab in the middle, celebration resources, they have free printouts you can use for your community, coloring pages and things for people. They have items you can purchase for your Arbor Day, but they also have a list of kind of alternative Arbor Day celebration ideas that I think is really fun. Most people think that your Arbor Day celebration has to look like, your park staff or your mayor watches you plant a tree and they read a nice little speech and that's it, which is fine if that's how you do it. But there's a bunch of different ways you can celebrate Arbor Day. They're actually not super strict on this standard at all. You can really make any kind of event tie into trees and call it an Arbor Day event. Some examples or ideas they have on their website that I thought are kind of fun is like a public park cleanup day or a volunteer weeding day at one of your parks. I know there's a couple communities that do that in Colorado. You can hold a birthday party themed celebration for your trees that were planted on Arbor Day in previous years. You can lead a park or community historic or champion tree tour. You can host a free pruning workshop or a planting workshop for residents. And of course, any way you're planting trees, anytime you're planting trees, any kind of volunteer tree planting event, things like that, those can all count. So this is just a great resource if you are wanting to update how you do your Arbor Day celebration. I think the most successful ones we see in the state are the ones where people are really making it their own. I know Keensburg does a really fun one every year. They have a really big community event. They have all these booths. People come out and they give away trees and they have music. And they one of their main events is they do a chainsaw carving. They have a guy come out and do a cool chainsaw carving every year to kind of highlight some urban wood reutilization. So there's a ton of different things you can do for Arbor Day. Reach out if you have questions or want ideas. We also love to attend Arbor Day celebrations across the state, so feel free to reach out to the State Forest Service if you'd like a representative at your event. This is another resource on Arbor Day Foundation website that I find really helpful for people. It's just a checklist for you, if you're a municipality, to keep track of your progress throughout the year. Recommend each Arbor Day you pull out a new checklist and you start keeping track this way of your progress throughout the year. We run into this a lot with municipalities where someone's in charge of the program and they retire or they move to a different department or something happens and the ball kind of gets dropped with Tree City USA. So we recommend you have something like this, a checklist, ongoing checklist going, so that whoever the program is passed on to can easily pick it up and see what progress has been made and what else needs to be done. A couple more resources to shout out here from Arbor Day Foundation. Particularly if you are not already in Tree City USA, some of these resources, the Get Started and the Readiness Quiz, are really helpful just to see where you're at as a community, what it would take for you to become a Tree City USA. That program summary, I think, is really helpful for residents, or maybe as an extension agent if you want to do more advertisement for this program. Or try and convince some of your, municipal leadership that this is a worthwhile program. The program summary, they have more resources in there to advocate for the program. They have our directory of state urban forestry coordinators. That just has my supervisor's name and information on there. I'll put up on the screen later, but you can see each state has their own state forestry entity that's kind of the coordinator for the program. And the last thing I want to talk about here is the Ordinance Assistant. This is a new tool that they just launched this year, actually. So the Tree Care Ordinance Assistant, this is meant to assist communities, again, of any size in updating their tree care ordinance. We know that ordinances are critically important, not just as a standard for Tree City USA recognition, but also as a tool to protect the trees in your community and to protect the municipality themselves from any liability concerning trees. It's really, really important that the very most basic things in your ordinance should delineate who's responsible for the decision making over public trees. If you have right-of-way trees, who's responsible for taking care of those? Is it the city? Is it the resident? In most places in Colorado, it's the adjacent homeowner. But really just important that these things are written clearly somewhere, because it will come up eventually in your community if it hasn't already. Even really well-written ordinances, too, might not always stand up to legal scrutiny. So Arbor Day launched this tool as kind of a free assessment that you can do for your ordinance, so you can see if your language if your ordinance already includes the proper, clear language needed for it to be effective and enforceable and protect all entities. So this is kind of how it works. Again, I haven't used this tool yet. It's new. I don't know anybody who's used it yet. If you're interested in trying it out, let me know. I'd be curious to hear people's experience with it. But basically, you start this assessment and answer some questions for them about you probably upload your ordinance, and then they'll let you know if you're ranked as basic, intermediate, or advanced, and they'll provide you with recommendations and resources to help you strengthen your community forestry policies. And eventually, the hope is that this leads to some sort of action, that from this consultation and assessment, you might be motivated to update your ordinances. I'm seeing this a lot with Arbor Day. They updated their standard 2 around tree ordinances. They're launching this new tool. I think there is a push. They're trying to push this nationwide, that people really start to consider their ordinances more carefully, how they're worded, if they're enforceable, if they're being effective. And lastly, I wanted to shout out real quick Colorado Tree Coalition. I think Neal might talk about this a little bit later, but if you're a small community, maybe you don't have any real tree ordinance on the book at all, This is a great resource on the CTC website. They have a database of all of our community tree ordinances from tree cities across the state. And this, I've used this before. It's really helpful. I was helping a community earlier last year that wanted to update just one sentence in their ordinance, and they were arguing a bunch about the language around it. So we looked up through here another smaller town nearby to see how they had worded their ordinance, and we ended up liking what the other town wrote, what their language was, and we just kind of copied and pasted it, which you can totally do. You know, I think if maybe writing a tree ordinance from zero can be daunting, but you have this resource to see how other communities have worded and formatted their ordinances. Arbor Day Foundation does also have kind of a blank basic tree ordinance format that you can take from their website. There's a ton of resources on the Arbor Day Foundation website. It can be a little difficult to navigate because they have so many resources. So if you ever are looking for something specific and you can't find it on there, feel free to reach out. I'm on their website all the time. Okay, I wanted to go over a couple Colorado specific items as well here. We have changed our due date for our Tree City USA applications. It used to be December 31st of every year, but we decided that that kind of sucked for everyone because a lot of communities were scrambling at the last minute to try and submit their application on New Year's Eve, and most of our team is on vacation, you know, off for the holidays around that time. So it's causing a lot of undue stress around the holidays. So we moved the deadline back, January 15th of 2027. Hopefully that will help be less stressful this year for everyone. These are your state contacts right now at the State Forest Service for the Tree City program. Again, I'm the representative for the Eastern Plains. Cami Long is our representative for the Western Slope. We currently have a vacant position for the Front Range position. So right now, my supervisor, Carrie Tomlinson, is our contact for there, but we hope to be rehiring that in the next couple months anyway. You might also, though, or you should also be reached out to by a State Forest Service field office staff representative each fall when the portal opens. So we have representatives in each area of the state, north and southwest, north and southeast, field office representatives with the State Forest Service who their task is to be that first contact for you. So they'll usually reach out in the fall and let you know that the portal is open, and ask if you have any questions or whatnot. And that kind of changes. I think for most of the Eastern Plains right now, you'll either be reached out to by Max Erickson or Danny, don't remember his last name. But anyway, not important. They'll reach out to you in the fall when the portal opens. I think that usually opens sometime like September or October. And though the due date is not until January, we encourage you to get your application completed as soon as the portal opens, or at least start working on it as soon as the portal opens. Mostly because there are certain things that have to be done within the calendar year that you're applying for recognition. So once we hit January 1, there's certain things that you won't be able to do anymore, even though the deadline is not until the 15th. And I'll get into that a little bit more here. So here's some tips for your application. Arbor Day did kind of revamp their portal in the last couple of years, which has a lot of people confused. So these are some things my team has gathered from the last couple years of approving people's applications. Hopefully this will help us all have an easier time with applications at the end of the year. First thing here, I want to call out, please enter the correct contact for your mayor or equivalent. This is something that Arbor Day has been really lax about in the past, but they are becoming stricter about this, we've noticed. So if you've entered your parks director in as your mayor or contact, or the mayor is not the person who signed your proclamation, you might get your application kicked back to you and asked to change that. Similarly, again, since we're in this new online portal, most of the things we're uploading are links. People are uploading links for their Arbor Day photos, for their tree ordinances, for their proclamation, whatever it might be. Make sure all the links are working before you hit the submit button, please. If your links are not working, we will send it back to you and tell you the link is not working. It is easier if you just upload documents directly. That is easiest for our team, if you upload documents directly instead of a web linked document. You do need to include proof of Arbor Day celebrations. Another one that we've been pretty lax about in the past, you might have just like a photo of a tree that was planted and be like, hey, we planted this on Arbor Day. Ideally, you have multiple sources, multiple documents you can upload for proof. Ideally, one of them includes a date. That can be pictures of the event, of course, also any flyers, social media posts from the town or city, newsfeed articles, agenda items, those sorts of things. Again, the proclamation, your Arbor Day proclamation, must be signed by the mayor, signed and dated in the year, must be signed and dated in the year which you are applying for recognition. Your proclamation does not have to be signed the same day as your Arbor Day event. It just needs to be signed sometime within that calendar year. So that confuses people sometimes. You do not have to do your proclamation and your Arbor Day observance on the same day. They both need to take place at some point within that calendar year, but it can be any day of the year. And then lastly, just again, we highly recommend that you keep track of all of these expenditures, proclamations, related documents, photos in a file. That way, if you move on from your position, you can easily pass it on to the next person, and we're not scrambling to, try to find out who the new contact will be for Tree City and that kind of thing. Reach out if you have any questions. Okay, quickly here, I want to go over, highlight a couple Tree Cities recognized in Colorado this year that are exciting. Our newest Tree City USA of the year is Nunn, Colorado. They were just awarded for their first year. This is a town of about 500 people in Weld County. They're just northeast of Fort Collins. In 2025, they planted about 70 trees with a CTC grant. And then also with some collaboration and education from CSFS staff, they were motivated to apply for Tree City USA for the first time. We incorporated tree care into their annual Community Days event that they did to turn it into kind of an Arbor Day. Yeah, this was a really exciting, I think, new addition. Nunn does not have dedicated forestry staff. These forestry efforts are being led by their public works staff, who just, they recognize that trees are really important to their Plains community in a number of ways. So we at the state really proudly support these efforts out in rural Eastern Colorado. We look forward to continuing helping Nunn develop their forestry program. So woo Nunn, congratulations. Next one, our first healthcare tree campus, San Luis Valley Health. This is an awesome partnership between SLV Health, their lead groundskeeper, Victoria Porras, and our CSFS Alamosa Field Office Supervisory Forester, Adam Moore. They spoke about this program, I think, in September for the first time ever. And Victoria, being an amazing person, pulled this all together in just a couple months. She created an advisory committee for tree care issues on their campus. She also wrote an in-depth tree care plan, which included naming a responsible entity for their trees, doing a preliminary inventory, outlining best tree care practices and procedures for tree protection during construction. They set a budget of $2 per employee to go towards the annual tree care budget. And she also created a 5-year plan with planting goals for the campus. And she did all of this in like 3 months or something. So amazing effort. We're really excited for this effort to expand to other healthcare campuses across Colorado, as we recognize that trees and access to trees and green spaces actually are really beneficial to patient outcomes. Okay, last one I want to shout out here, not in the East, but our dear state capitol is celebrating 40 years this year as a Tree City USA. They are not the longest recognized tree city in the state, as I mentioned earlier, but Denver has for decades been a leader in urban forestry in Colorado. They're celebrating again 40 years of recognition. They've received their 5th growth award this year, and they are also now an official tree city of the world, which is awesome. Fort Collins also gained that recognition for the first time this year. Boulder has actually been a tree city of the world for 7 years now. So I think since 2018. No, that math doesn't work. 2019. Denver this year has planted over 4,200 trees. They've counted over 7,000 volunteer hours. They've finished major improvement projects throughout the city, and they've also completed their first urban forest strategic plan, different than their urban forest management plan. It's a really exciting plan. Encourage anyone to go to their website and look through it if you want to learn more. Really proud of this effort and happy to continue our partnership with the state, with the city of Denver. Okay, last couple things I want to throw up here. This is some nice stats that Arbor Day Foundation sent us this year. For the state of Colorado specifically, we have just over 9,700 people in the state are employed as a result of urban forestry activities in Colorado. You can see that communities in Colorado that are enrolled in Tree City USA invest on average $7.84 per resident for tree planting and tree care, compared to an average of just $3 per resident in non-participating communities nationally. Tree cover on private properties adds about $365 million annually to property values in Colorado. We see that urban trees in the state contribute almost $1 billion in community-wide environmental benefits each year. And lastly, the urban forestry sector in Colorado generates about $1.3 billion every year in the state as well. So really cool graphics here. I can send this to anybody who's interested in sharing this out further. Okay, my last thing, I'll give you some answers to our oldest and smallest tree cities in the state, if any of you had guessed at those. But our oldest tree city in USA, Tree City USA in Colorado, is Colorado Springs. They just celebrated 49 years of recognition this year. Next year will be their big 50 years. Super exciting. Our smallest tree city USA in Colorado is Campo, which is in Baca County. That is in the east. It's just like an hour maybe north of the New Mexico border. They have just 102 residents. And they've been a tree city for, I think, around 20 years. Our oldest in the east is Greeley at 46 years, and right after them is La Junta, celebrating 45 years this year. So that is all I have for you guys on Tree City today. Please let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to email me. I'm always reachable. And yeah, I'll pass it along to Neal now. We're going to talk a little bit more about Colorado Tree Coalition. Neal, do you want me to pull up the website, or do you want to share it on your end?
You can pull it up if you want.
Yes, sir. I will get that going. Now, I did see what's in the chat. Would it be possible to receive a copy of your slides after today? I think maybe. Jean, I also will have this recorded and I'll post it to our state YouTube account. Thank you, Chelsea. Okay, let's see, coloradotrees.org. Cool, I'm gonna share this for you here. Cool. Can you see the website all right?
Yep.
Sweet. Let me know. I can just click through it as you hit on different programs and whatnot.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, to give you a little history on the Colorado Tree Coalition, actually, somewhere in mid 80s, about 1985 or so, the Denver City Forester at the time was in a conference with some other state foresters, and they got to talking about, wouldn't it be nice if we could get some city foresters together to kind of talk about trees and their care and planting, and just kind of a fellowship of people who were interested in trees and their care and so forth. And so I think the Denver Urban Forestry Group was formed, and mostly just city foresters in the metro area, and they'd meet, I think, about 4 times a year or so. And then in 1990, one of the federal farm bill was passed, and there was a forestry component in that, which stated that if any state would establish in their state some districts that they would receive funding through their state forest service to us as a nonprofit to help us in our programs and so forth. And so Colorado State Forest Service and a group of people who wanted to volunteer for the Colorado Tree Coalition were set up. And so we set up 10 different districts throughout Colorado. And we decided to meet 6 times a year, every other month. And at that time, we'd get a van from the Colorado State Forest Service and drive all over Colorado and meet at different cities throughout Colorado. And now through the technology of Zoom, we don't have to drive all over, but it was kind of fun to go to different towns and cities and meet. But anyway, in 1995, we incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit. And so we've had some people on the board like myself that have been here for almost forever, and other newer additions as our history goes. So let's see, Valerie, if you want to stop that video, there you go. Just to give you an idea, as far as the champion trees, which I'm passionate about, I've been doing this, will be my 24th year. There have been three other people who have come before me that started the program. And when I started, I think we had around 525 trees, and now we're up to about 850. So a lot of people, not just myself, have been involved in nominating trees, and certainly a citizen, an arborist, really anybody can nominate a tree. I collect those throughout the year, and then in December into January, update the list for the next year and shoot it out to the full list, which includes the names, addresses, sometimes phone numbers of citizens and public entities as well. Online, we have just, trees located by, up to location. We don't give an actual address if it's a private property. They are listed by common name and also by county. So if you want to check out the champ trees in your county, you can easily get to that, or you could sort the list. But for city and state district and area foresters, I send them the full list. But it's kind of a friendly competition, you might say, between cities. In Colorado, we generally take the top 3 largest of any one species of tree. Other states do just the first place trees. As far as the national champion tree program goes, American Forest started that back in the 40s, I believe. And our State Forest Service people were responsible for categorizing and cataloging new champ trees. And then when CTC became a organization, then we took it over for them. So it depends on the state as to how detailed or how extensive a program they have. But I've heard that through a number of different people that we've got a pretty good program. So I'm kind of proud of that. But but anyway, it's fun to fun to obviously see big trees, but more importantly to meet the people and the foresters and arborists who have nominated these trees, and also if there's history behind some of these trees, whether it's a famous park or a place or a house or whatever. I think the history makes it even much more interesting. So to get into some of our programs, we have essentially 2, 4, 6 different programs. So it's kind of explained about the champion trees, but since Gertie, you're here with us, could I get you to talk about trees across Colorado?
Sure.
And kind of where you started.
I love to blow the horn of the communities, and it's wonderful to see Angie Wade's face. I've sent her emails, and now I know what she looks like. Trees Across Colorado provides young deciduous trees to communities across the state to organize tree planting events. They are at wholesale price to the communities, and some communities distribute them free. Some communities charge them the same thing that they are paying for them. Some of the groups participating are homeowners associations. We try to get trees that are drought tolerant and trees that have been the seed is sourced from either Oklahoma or New Mexico in order to prepare our community forests for what we're going to be like in 2050 or 2060 when the trees are mature. And it gives communities the opportunity to foster more understanding among their residents about the importance of trees, and how to plant them properly, but also the importance of maintaining what we have in every community. I send out the tree availability form in the middle of September for the following April. The trees come in number 7 air pruning pots, which are foster a really dense root system. But they are vulnerable to drying out because there are slits in the side of the containers that let in air if the trees aren't mulched in or aren't in a special pot where they're grown in the nursery. And the trees mostly cost $85 to $100. There's some that are a little bit more, depending on whether they're really slow growers and that takes the nursery longer to get them to a size they can ship to us. They come off trucks in April, and the people getting their trees have to be there on time. So that's hard for Angie's group coming in from Ray all the way to Windsor. But the drops are primarily in the Front Range. This year, I'm really happy to say that we've got groups on the western slope as well. There's some in Grand Junction, Montrose, Glenwood Springs, Basalt, Aspen, and in the southern part of the state, we've got Pueblo and Alamosa participating this year, and that's really exciting to me because this really is a program that wants to get trees all across all of Colorado. And my contact information, I think, is on the webpage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the years that Gertie has been involved with the Tree Coalition, planted tens of thousands. I don't know if it's 100,000 yet, Gertie, is it? But
No,
it's
not that, not that many. But this year we're bringing in over 3,700 trees on 6 different trucks.
Yeah, so actually Gertie started this program in Denver with an organization called Denver Digs Trees. I think it was 1953, Gertie?
No, 19. No, come on.
Just
I'm
kidding.
old, Neal, but I'm not that old.
Okay.
I started Denver Digs Trees in the late 1980s when there was a bond program. But then at the turn of the century, I decided that the suburban communities needed to have some kind of program like this. And I had already been working with Littleton and Windsor and a couple of other communities. Interestingly enough, Tanpo, which is that small community in southeastern Colorado, has participated in Trees Across Colorado.
Yeah, so we
think
we
I'm
buy our
frozen.
trees. We buy our trees from super trees in Oregon. And just a note about that, I've been working with a couple of guys from Super Trees to collect cuttings and seeds from some of our Colorado champion trees to see if they can propagate some of these Colorado champions to sell back to us in Colorado. Hopefully these trees, some of them been around for 100 years or better. We figure maybe has some better genetics, and they've weathered pretty much any environmental catastrophe or situations that trees can and survive and thrive. And so it just kind of made sense to me to see if we can get some more propagation going of those trees with super trees, and maybe also with Fort Collins Wholesale Nursery as well. We have a couple of folks up there that seem to be willing to help us in that venture as well. All right. Let's see, the poster contest, Arbor Day poster contest. There you go. This has to do only with fifth graders. We've been doing that for more than 10 years. The Arbor Day Foundation, some time ago, for whatever reason, decided to drop that program. But here in Colorado, we didn't want to drop it. We wanted to keep it going. So there have been a number of people on our board who have taken up the call and continued our Arbor Day poster contest. And it's grown a lot. We used to only get maybe 10 or 15 posters, and each year it seemed to increase in size. This year we had 53 posters from pretty much around the state. It doesn't have to be a public school. There can be private. We accept from private schools, from home educated kids as well. And basically, so we send out a packet in the fall to whomever wants to participate, and it's due, I think, about the end of December, first part of January, and gives you all the details as to how to work that in your particular school. But typically, each fifth grade class, however many kids that want to participate in that particular school, and there's a theme each year, that they draw up their own posters, and then in that class they pick the one they like the best, and then they send that to us at the Tree Coalition, and then we have a gathering and judge as to which of those, in this case 53 posters, were the best, and usually bring in the family. And we have the presentation at the Denver Botanic Gardens with a lot of people and sometimes press, and a nice a nice presentation with some folks, and also the prizes awarded with that as well. So we try and make it a big deal, and the kids and parents really enjoy it, and so it's a fun program that a lot of people get involved in. Another program is our grant program. You can find that one. Yeah. As part of our values and our mission statement, we have a grant program. I think it's valued from $1,000 to $8,000 that communities can apply for. That it not only communities but nonprofits, homeowner associations, whomever that has an interest in trees or education. I just finished up a project with Fairmont Cemetery here in Denver, reworking their notable tree walk brochure. So it doesn't have to be planting trees. It can be education about how to plant trees in your community, anything related to trees, really. But generally, most of our grants are tree planting grants. And so you can see there on our website, planting, maintenance, inventories that are carried on through the State Forest Service or other entities. What else we got there? Education outreach, as I said, and certainly besides planting, obviously we want to maintain those trees properly, the proper watering practices, tree trunk wrapping, and so forth, pruning. And so, those types of entities can look online and fill out an application. The grant committee, about 4 or 5 people, review that, and if it looks like a decent project, then you can again click online and fill out in detail what your project entails, what you think the volunteer hours would be, the publication, who would be involved as far as volunteers go, or your particular city or parks or forestry staff. We'd like to obviously get the community members involved in those particular projects. And
Neal, you got muted somehow.
okay, here we go.
There you go.
Sorry.
All good.
All right. And so we have the people on the committee can work with the particular entity that's applying with the grant, just to make sure that all the details of the grant are filled out properly. And then once the project is completed, to document that and to keep track of it. We generally will probably get about 20 to 30 different projects each year, and we fund a good share of those. Some of them are a little strange, honestly, but that could be a planting in a park or a downtown corridor, at a school, at a historic area or place in your town or city. So we're pretty flexible as to that, but generally we're usually at about a total of $40,000 to $50,000 that we grant each year to the people who apply. So it's been going for quite a number of years, and cities throughout all of Colorado, really, both metro and eastern and western parts of the state as well. So if that's something that you could get some community interest in, it's a good way to stretch your budget, and it's a 50-50 cost share. So you don't have to come up with all the funds, obviously. So that's another program that we administer. Let's see. How about community awards? Should be one there. Yeah, community awards. We have a number of different award types that we administer for people or an organization who has kind of gone above and beyond what a community or a person would be. That could be as well, like for instance, Gertie, who started Denver Digs Trees, or a city or a forester, or a person in your town which has really over the years demonstrated an interest in trees and their care and so forth. So we have a number of different awards there, Distinguished Service Awards, Sustainable Urban Forestry Awards, and a Lifetime Achievement Award. So it's neat to be able to for people to be recognized for the contributions to their to their city or their town. And you can see there a couple of different people that were awarded in the past. Ken Connemara in Windsor was just given the award a week or two ago. And so he's been with Windsor for 23 years as their city forester, and with the tree board there and his staff have done an amazing job retreeing, as it were, the town of Windsor, and as much as they've grown, been a tree city for quite some time as well. So if you have a person in mind or whatever that has made what you think is a significant contribution, we take those throughout the year, and then with our committees and the board, decide on who gets that particular award for that particular year. And let's see, the last one, tree risk. I think there's one more there. Yeah, tree risk management. As we all know, trees don't last forever. And so this is a tool that was developed by the Tree Coalition, and the International Society of Arboriculture also has one, but we've kind of adapted some things from there. It's a method by which taking inventory of the trees in your particular community. Obviously, we don't have unlimited budgets in forestry, and so it's a way to be able to assess the health of your particular forest, and to kind of narrow down what trees have the highest risk or the most immediate needs, and prioritize to work into your budget and with the people on your staff. And so we also offer that as a service to any community who would want to use that to be able to help them in determining which trees you might say need to be removed or pruned or whatever. And so that's tree risk. I think, Valerie, that's pretty much all of them.
I think you hit them all.
All right.
You did great.
So you can see there's other tabs on top to that you can check on us as about us or how to donate or how to be engaged. We also have other information about some programs we manage, such as Co-Tree View and some other forestry education resources that we have. So like I said, we've been around for quite some time, and we hope to continue so in the future.
Thank you so much, Neal. Yeah, and I wanted to point out too, I had talked earlier, referenced their tree ordinance kind of database. That's here on their website as well. And then there's a lot of cool stuff. I like the Find the Right Tree tab. That's a fun one for me. Anyway, so other people might enjoy that too. All righty. Well, thank you so much, Neal. I appreciate it. You as well, Gertie. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions they want to throw out about anything we talked about today? No questions.
Gotta be questions.
No, that's all right. Madeline, thank you for coming, Madeline. Appreciate it. I do want to throw out real quickly, we do have CEUs approved for today. We didn't think we would, but we did. So if you would like CEUs, you'll need to email me your information. I'll put my email here in the chat real quick. But you'll want to send me your first and last name, whatever email is associated with your ISA account, and your certification ID as well. So you can send that to me if you'd like. We have 1.5 CEUs for the day. And we hope to do another one of these meetings sometime in May. If you are interested in being part of a group that meets somewhat regularly to talk about ideas for these type of meetings going forward, also feel free to reach out to me. Some of you on this call are already kind of part of that group, so thank you for your contributions. And we post these recordings on our State Forest Service YouTube page. I'll make sure I send the link out to everybody afterwards if you want to review it or share it with whoever. Yeah, and again, just feel free to reach out anytime. One more project I want to quickly reference before we let everybody go is I'm working to, with some other people, update our recommended trees list for the Eastern Plains of Colorado. And we have a working list going that I will share with you real quick here just so you can see it. Maybe. I'm probably just going to share the wrong screen. Yeah, it always shares the wrong screen. Okay, hold on. I have a working list here going. I've gotten a lot of input from people around the state, mostly in the eastern region. So this is not a finished list yet. If you would like to see the list or give input before we kind of put it out widely for communities to use, reach out to me. You might see some things on here that you really like or you've tried in your community and you think they're great, or ones that you dislike. Have comments to give for me on that. So if you're interested in participating in that capacity, please let me know. Happy to get more people's input. Oh, now I have you guys on here. Stop share. Okay. There we go. All righty. Well, I think that's all I have for you all today.
Valerie?
Yes, go ahead.
Just to mention, well, obviously you can check on the website if you think you have a big tree in your community or wherever against that, and it looks like it might have a point value. We take the circumference, the height of the tree, and a quarter of the crown spread to determine the national points. But also on our website, there's a nomination form and also some instructions on how to properly measure a tree. I wouldn't be opposed to running out on the Eastern Plains and helping you with that either. So I've made a couple trips out where you guys are, and hopefully, if things work out, to go down to Picture Canyon south of Springfield in Campo and collect some nutleaf hackberry seeds and cuttings, maybe some soapberry. The state champs are in Picture Canyon there, which is an amazingly beautiful place. So, but if you have any questions regarding how to measure a tree or whatever, my email address is in the champion tree section. So love to chat with anybody who's interested in that. It's a lot of fun.
We do have quite a few champion trees out in the east, which is exciting. So they're out there. They just got to be found. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate your participation today. Reach out if you have any questions. And we'll send out an invite hopefully soon for a meeting, maybe towards the end of May. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you so much, Neal and Gertie.
Thank you, Val.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sedgwick. Nice to see you all.
Good to kind of see you. We see you. Yes.